I think it just started, I mean, it's supposed to start the parade. Oh, that should be done. But it was, I wasn't at that, but it's the interaction was enough where they're charging, they're referring to. Which.
All right, at 6 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call been taken.
Mhm.
A motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Rich, seconded by Dan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Approval of the previous committee of the whole minutes,
So moved.
moved by Paula,
I'll second.
seconded by Norm. Any discussions or corrections? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carried. Any citizen comments? Thank you. Finance and purchasing, action moved to the common council, the approval of monthly invoices. Moved by Norm. Second by Kathy. Any discussion? Any questions?
I got a question. So when we have the IT department come in and everything, and they always provide IT services. Like, how do we monitor that? Like. And this is kind of an ongoing discussion on my part of it, but I mean, we're getting charged for. You know, the police and fire getting IT services, city hall IT services, like what is that? What is
Right.
that actually, what are they actually doing for us?
I know it's so much per email, so much per archived email, right, for the police department.
That's separate line item in the billing statement. Archiving emails is already a line item out.
Right,
So it's
so the
like,
other is,
support, like, would have to be like you guys calling them up asking for support.
they do monthly, they come once a month also, here, and then if anybody has any issues with anything, all of our, you know, Jason,
They come
us.
like an annual, like
A monthly they do, yeah. And then if we have any issues during the month, if it's something they can troubleshoot from their office, you know, when they can go right on our computer. Otherwise, they come up here also.
It's like a service they provide every month, so they charge us, say, $1,900. Just to say that, are you guys okay where we're at?
Yeah, and they're there if we need, you know, if something's not right.
I
And,
know, but that's where I'm kind of confused with the billing of it, because it's an ongoing bill for everybody, and it's like, well, if we're not. You guys are, if you're not requesting
Right.
it, why are we getting charged?
we did it prior to this company. We had a different one that did it as needed, and it cost a lot more to do it that way. You know,
For a request?
it's a flat, yeah, per whenever we had something, it cost a lot more, so that's why they had gone to this where it was like, you're never charged more than that for the month, no matter how, you know, every day, if you have somebody calls in with a problem, you're not charged for it separately. Yes, exactly.
Yes,
My understanding, you have to have them, because I think prior, there was discussion that there's only a couple IT companies that can handle municipality, to my understanding, because I remember the discussion a while back about it, so it's a necessary thing.
Yeah, that's what Paul was thinking.
they're in the back of the mailbox.
Because you even has like a mayor's support, you know. You know, it's like line item for everybody, like mayor support, city IT support, 1,300. Police IT support, that's the $1,900 one. Public works IT support, $190. That's what I mean, it's like we're providing the service and nobody.
Well, the service is pretty
190
broad.
please. Please dispatch. 190. The only IT underneath is $4.
No, Jason, yours is 190 also a month.
next page.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it's on the next page.
I mean,
So I believe it's $190 a computer for them to do that. But
so he gets a computer, that's what he charged $190 a month for.
for the computer, or it's for the services of it,
That's what it is, a service or a support?
support for that computer.
Okay.
I can't remember. I mean, we've had these guys for a couple of years. Before that, we had Amplitel, I believe. And I know that it was costing a lot per month, you know, with,
I've requested this in the past to like, why isn't this kind of, nobody knows. That's why I didn't get up. You know, and it's like our highest dollar amount every month. But nobody knows like what we're actually paying for. Like,
well, it's
never-
for the,
I've never seen a contract, though. That's what I don't get.
oh, wait,
That's just my opinion of it. We've never seen a contract and we're getting charged for it, then what are we actually paying for?
we have something in the
Well,
back with it, but I mean, I can,
I got nothing wrong with it, but it's like, we're looking at the monthly statements every month.
and they do our
We're getting
backup,
charged.
but they do our backup, which is required, like the auditors require, and they have to do a test, you know, so they take care of all of the backup stuff. You know, we don't,
You know, like police IT support, you're paying $99 for it. You actually, you know what?
So they come monthly for us, they check for updates, if we have any questions, they'll do whatever on site, really depends, we're running into any problems, they deal with our copy machine as well, printing and so forth. For IT support, for any issues that we have, we just go on they'll remote in and work on our computers. They do not, this does not include the squad computers. So I am trying to get support for that, but that will be an additional fee, which they're working on if they will even do it. So if we have issues with our squad computers, we have no money.
Right.
That's kind of an issue you got to the county, I mean, municipalities in the county are dealing with as well. But yeah, they come in monthly, you know, if we have an issue, if there's an email issue, or if we think got spam, or we got a virus, they'll remote in, we have,
See, that's what I consider support,
Yeah.
when you actually call them and ask for help.
yes.
But like when they just come in, that should be under a contract like this, us.
it's all encompassed under this one fee. You know, there is no separate, the bill of state is the same every month. Regardless of how many, they could come here every day. You know, if somebody has something wrong, they could come in every day, you know, and help somebody with something. We could put tickets in every day. The price is never going to change. All the backup, it includes all of the backup. Right.
But if there's a contract, maybe you bring it to the next meeting.
I'd like to just, you know, if
Mhm.
we've been approving that.
Sure.
proposed one.
I think that's it.
You would think it'd be something. else, you know.
Is it renegotiated like every year?
Well, that's what I understand. We're not trying to take them out. We don't even know.
We're not backed up to the cloud. That's why we have the server. We have servers as well. If the cloud would have been probably double or triple that amount.
We have our own server.
Yes.
We have our,
Putting it on.
All has their server.
I'm not saying it's a bad price or anything, it's just, be nice to know what we're actually paying it, so contracting them out, we don't even have a contract, or don't even know what we're actually paying for.
I'll look and see what I
Is
can
it too
find.
much or?
I guess my thing is it'd be helpful if I had a better understanding of the service they provide, because maybe I'd make better use of it.
You can always request them to come here and have a discussion and answer
Well, yeah,
questions.
if they can do it, if they can bring it somewhere else.
That might be an option so that you are all educated on what they're actually providing for a service directly from them.
And I don't even try to use them. I got stuff I want to call them, but I don't call because I don't want to get charged. You know what I mean? Like.
But you-
something small.
Yeah, but it's-
Jason, but you don't get
I know,
charged.
but no one's ever told me that. This is the
I've
first
told
time
you we
somebody-
could put tickets in many times for you. No, I,
This is the first person that's actually told me that. Doesn't cost us. So why am I taking advantage? of it? You know what I mean? That's, I'm glad you brought it up.
that's why I've been encouraging you to contact them.
Right, no one's ever told me this. Hey.
That's why I bring it up, I
Okay.
don't stir the pot, but it's like, what are we paying for?
well, we could ask them just for a summary of services,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
They don't have to come in and do a dog and pony show, but but we can ask that.
Yep.
All right, so any other questions? We have a motion and a second.
Did Norm and Kathy did?
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carried. Protection of persons and property, any updates from the police department?
Kathy would like to provide an update for and our activity for the week.
So you guys should all have a copy of this, as we're all aware, 11th to the 13th is the annual fireman's picnic. Too many people to go down the list and thank. You know, a couple that stand out, the emergency services react team, if you guys saw them, for town for the weekend with their neon vests. That's a volunteer group. They provided us about a dozen guys throughout the weekend. You know, they had their trailer back by us, so they provided the trailer that was there, climate controlled. We used it a couple times for medical calls, a couple interviews, things like that. It was a game changer for us, so I'll make sure I give those guys a shout out, but
That's new.
they've helped us for the last couple of years, but they've really stepped up. They've gone from just starting to now they're affiliated with emergency management. They have their own dedicated radio station or radio channel, everything like that. So they're improving their game, but it is a volunteer service to us. They help our
And radio.
Yeah.
And radio group.
But yeah, like the one serious medical call that we had was found by their group. They called their guy that was in charge. He called us directly on the radio. So we had officers arriving on scene as it was getting paged out, 911. So fantastic group. It would cost us a fortune to replace that level of manpower. Couple key things. I just want to go over, I don't want to go over this whole thing word for word with you guys, but for the weekend, police department responded to 69 calls for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 49 of which were directly related to the picnic, between the activities in the park or the parade. Of those 49, we had 9 missing items. This was the year everyone lost their cell phone. I have no idea what was going on. I think someone was handing out a sign that you said to walk down sidewalk and throw your phone because they were everywhere. We provided an officer to escort the money out of the park. On 7 different occasions, we responded to 4 medical calls. We had 2 different disturbances in the park, both of which were squashed relatively quickly, and I want to say there was 6 or 7 people that were given verbal warning for disorderly conduct. Our stance for dealing with the public during this event was to warn and then arrest. So everyone was given the warning, knock it off. If we have to deal with you again, you're going to jail. That's just, it puts the fire out immediately and it prevents things from escalating with the number of people we have in the park. 8 citations were issued for underage drinking. We conducted 5 traffic stops related to people either not stopping for stop signs while people are coming in to park for the fireworks, or they were moving or somehow getting onto the parade route after the parade was over and before we released the road. We did have several areas of vulnerability that were identified this year. It is a very large parade route with a lot of people, and as problems came up and they've been identified, we'll address those for next year. On that, if anyone didn't notice this year, we're always working to improve our security posture. So for this year, we got 20 concrete barricades that were donated by Vanderbart. So both ends of our parade were hard perimeter, 2,000-pound concrete blocks that you're not going to drive through those without getting someone's attention. We also brought down the Bearcat, which is an armored vehicle from the Calumet County SWAT team. We did not have any SWAT operators in town, but we wanted the armored vehicle just in case. Along with that, they also sent a drone team down, so we had overhead coverage. And then I've requested all of the video and photographs that they've taken, so hopefully we get a bird's eye view of crowd size and then any other security vulnerabilities that we would have. We'll address those for next year. On that, we also had, during the parade, an individual tried to run past a traffic control point. Threats were made to a Calumet County deputy that escalated to the point where their agency is going to be referring criminal charges to the DA's office. I do not have any more information about that as I was not at that location. As some of you commented when I came in today, so we did have a good Facebook presence. We were handing out wristband stickers. And then we were doing the photograph contest with our bike. The bike started as a joke with some of our smaller employees not being able to fit on our mountain bike. And it escalated into the, you won't buy one that fits, and now we just ran with it. So that led into, what are we gonna do with this bike? So the photograph with the most likes with our officers, we're just gonna donate that bike or give it away. So as of 7:15, that Facebook post has 29,385 views with 347 interactions, either likes or whatever the heart emoji is.
That we love, Chuck.
74% of those views were for non-followers, and then our department's Facebook gained 20 new followers just from that over the weekend. So that's kind of like the highlights. It was a busy weekend for us. I know most of us did sit still very often. We put on pretty much more than 50,000 steps, in the park. So if you guys have any specific questions, I will answer those.
Did the tree fall because of weather? Sorry. What? Tree fell?
It was really nice weather when it went down. So
Which one we talking about, Jackson or? we talking about-
Prospect and Park.
I don't know what the,
Oh,
there's one on Jackson and then also one in Clark.
yeah, this one was during the, so I'm not sure why it was
It
down.
was one from in the park.
Yeah.
Old one.
Yeah, it wasn't in the park, it was a private residence, but it fell and it was over, not the power line, but I want to say it's the communication lines, but it was blocking the southbound lane. So we did work with the utilities and we called Keith Price over and they got it trimmed up to the point where you didn't have to worry about somebody hitting it or somebody having some liquid courage and trying to climb it.
I heard you guys discussing numbers for calls of service. So they're up less than 10 from 2 years ago.
Correct. I want to say we had 49 in the park this year, and 2 years ago we had 45. Last year was obviously a fluke with the weather.
I don't know. Do you think it's possible that those numbers are up because you have, I don't know, a specific spot for people to go? They're more likely to come to you if earlier on in the
Possibly.
lost property, lost child, whatever, because they can find it easier.
Possibly. I know it was instrumental in, we weren't chasing people around this year. We were very vocal that if your child is lost, if your property is lost, everything was brought back to us. So everyone had a place to retrieve that. But I think we're getting much better at not being stationary. Everyone is moving. We're all doing something. So problems are being identified before they're become bigger problems.
I just mean you have a call for service that you maybe wouldn't have because they knew where to find you easier. Not a bad problem to have.
Anything else? Yep, thank you. Obviously we spent a few hours together watching cars go through the stop sign. So, but yeah, I think the police department, the fire department, public works all did a great job this weekend. It was a fun weekend. So thanks. So, fire department have any reports?
I just got a couple of quick comments pertaining to the picnic. One person reached out to me and asked me if I ever thought it would be a community picnic in Allstate. We're mistaken because it already is a community picnic. You look at the number of groups of people that volunteer, the donations that come in, the people that just come up to buy a sandwich, have a beverage of their choice. It's a community picnic all the way around. And I'll just reiterate what Gene said. Just thanks. People that worked for the city, the employees that put in extra hours, switched hours around, took extra hours, bent over backwards to make this happen. The people in this room that volunteered, just incredible that little town to put on such a big event. And the help is great, and gratefully appreciated.
Thank you. Emergency management, nothing municipal court, buildings and grounds. Jason, anything up, any update? Right, rec director, nothing. Personnel, nothing. Old business, discussion, action, MSA.
Yeah, what was it? I had a dialogue with Diane. The past, we met at League of Municipality meetings discussing. She helped us with the survey for looking for one of the grants, CDBG grant. And she reached out to me knowing that we were looking for an administrator and offered some potential services, some as an interim. Plus then there's also recruiting and several other things. Diane is here and I'd let her speak on behalf of MSA.
And, yeah, as Mayor said, I've spoken to him about, just some of the services that MSA does. Particularly, I reached out about interim administration because I'm actually a former administrator, I spent 20-some years in 25 years in local government and now I'm, some say I'm on the dark side. So I just reached out about possibly interim administration or, sometimes what I do with municipalities is just, all administration assist, with communities when they don't have an administrator or when they, in some cases, have one, but is newer. So a resource for them. And then also the initial conversation that we had was regarding funding, because I'm on the funding team of MSA. And we do CDBG grants, we do some of the fire grants with FEMA, agricultural road improvement program grants. So we've got a pretty large, actually the largest funding team of any engineering firm. And then I also brought, or have Dan is with me here too, just to talk about the different services. The one thing that I was stressing to the mayor is just that we are all encompassing. So we both engineering, architecture, planning, zoning, interim administration, funding. I'll turn it over to Dan here now.
Yeah, I guess, Diane and I kind of work seamlessly. I always kind of make the hope that she finds the money and I help you guys spend it, right? I'm an engineer by trade. So, we work hand in hand and being in a community and what Diane does, the interim administration, and then we hear of things that you guys are doing and we just kind of start talking and we're like, okay, well, let's keep, this ball rolling to get some of these projects done. MSA basically does just about everything that you can think of when it comes to engineering. So it's all under one house. We have architects, we have engineers, we have landscape architects. I mean, you name it. We do buildings, we do pretty much everything. We did have a small presentation prepared if you guys want us to go into more in-depth detail, but I'll try to keep it short here. So I guess that's kind of a general broad overview of MSA. Again, there's a lot more to us, 400 plus employees. We got 10 different offices in the state, one being right next door in Kiel.
Which actually is the, where our CEO is based, on the Kiel office.
So close by, I know I've crossed paths with Jason here a couple of times at some local meetings and things like that. So I guess we're asked to come in, kind of share some information. I'd be happy to answer any sort of questions or anything like that. Or if you want to hear more about us, just let us know.
And one of the things too is like when I'm, for example, I was in interim administration in the village of Sherwood for about 7 months, and I helped them with the hiring process, and then was kind of a mentor and assistant to the administrator once he came in. But as when I was the administrator there, before I was a municipal administrator, I was a county planner. So I also have the planning and zoning background and am a certified planner. So when I was in the community as helping them with administration, I also ended up helping with planning and zoning administration and noticed while I was looking through budget, some opportunities, potential for grants, even not necessarily like the big ones that we think of like $1 million for CDBG, but sometimes just like the annual urban forestry grants or some of the assistance to firefighter grants, some of the, programs, one of them I had mentioned to the mayor was, Compier Financial does annual grants or to municipalities for firefighting equipment for $4,000. So we don't do funding just for the projects we do. We work almost exclusively with municipalities. When I say almost, the only other client we do work with is school districts. So that is local government. That's all we do. So, and I'd say I think 90% of our communities are, maybe more, 10,000 population or less. So we're always looking for ways that we can help with the local communities. So.
And you're real familiar how TID districts work and all of that stuff.
Yeah, we do TIDs. We actually create TIDs. We have planners that do TIDs, and we also have the people on the funding team that do TIDs. We've done brownfields before, but we just hired someone who has more expertise than anybody else on our firm before. And her expertise is in brownfields grant funding and the technical part of it. We have planning and zoning people on. We do comprehensive plans, comprehensive outdoor recreation plans, TID plans.
Park planning.
Park planning, master plan.
Just kind of planning in general, like what I think of it as, okay, we're looking at like, say, an industrial park or something like that, or an expansion, we help lay out the lots and help advertise and that type of thing. So from the TID perspective, that sort of development, and planning as well. So it's kind of all encompassing, the way that we kind of look at a community, obviously starts, planning is a big part of it, making sure that you have an idea of where you're going, what you're doing. So I've heard this many times, and I'm probably the engineer of record in probably 6 to 8 different communities. So they always come to me and they say, well, we don't know what we want to do, say in this park or out in our industrial park or something like that. And so we kind of come up with some concepts, some ideas, are you talking to anybody that wants to come into town, that wants to, build something or relocate or that type of thing. So we work with communities, we work with private developers in that sense as well. So.
And we also do zoning code updates. That's becoming a big one now with, especially for the push for ways to make housing more affordable. If there's any other questions?
How do you charge?
It depends on the service, and actually like for interim administration, and the stuff that I usually come into a community for, being completely frank about it, is that while we do provide it as a standalone service, the intent is really, we hope that we would get other services from the community. So oftentimes, my supervisor will discount my fee or my hourly rate if the community picks up engineering or, does their comp plan update or comprehensive outdoor rec plan update with us. So.
And a lot of it is, I'll say hourly,
Yeah.
It's an on-call service. To some extent, some of them are, like me being an engineer, if one of your staff or something like that, basically they're typically authorized to say, hey, I'm gonna call you. And so then, if I come down here and I look at something for a couple hours, I send a bill for those couple hours or whatever. So otherwise, on bigger projects, a lot of times, like these CDB projects that we're talking about, they're typically right around the 1.5 million. So we get a separate contract for that and pull that out so that it doesn't look like we're just racking up this massive fee. So there's different ways of doing it. We're pretty flexible in how communities like to see it. We pretty much have a standard hourly rate or a range that we charge. And, as Diane said, the economy of scale, right? The more work we get, usually that gap shrinks or gets a little bit smaller. So.
One of the things to keep in mind too, that, I've mentioned about the funding team is because, as I mentioned, we have the largest funding team of any engineering firm, in Wisconsin. Is we have 12 to 13, I say 12 to 13 because one person, kind of goes between planning and myself, planning and funding. But we have 13 people dedicated to just funding. And my point of saying that is like for CDBG grants, for example, which is the most common grant that communities use for infrastructure, is last year, when the grants were awarded, 60% of all of the funds awarded in the state of Wisconsin were awarded to grants that MSA wrote. So it's really our strong point. So when we get engineering, we are really looking for funding into the USDA rural development grants, the safe and clean drinking water grants, and we're always keeping an eye on the federal, although right now things are kind of weird with the federal grants, but whenever there's any new program, we end up assigning somebody to it. Like one of them, for example, the Safe Streets and Roads for All grants was a program that came out of the bipartisan infrastructure law. And we jumped on that and we wrote 3 or 4 of them and were awarded them. And then when the agricultural road improvement program came through, again, we jumped on those and got our clients, I think we got 6 grants. Some of them one of them was 3.4 million. So as soon as a new program comes out, we get on it.
One thing about the grants is you guys with the engineers, it's that whole team know the needs of the city and reach out. You guys even reached out to me, just a little bit of interaction. I shared some with the chief, Craig Carey there, and I shared with Vicky Hamhold on the EMT stuff. That the thing is them guys let you know. And it's important because if you don't know about something, you'll never get it.
Well, and that's why I wanted to stress that while we're considered an engineering firm, when we're looking for funds, we're not just looking for funds for programs that will get us engineering work. Those that I sent you about EMTs and fire, that's not getting us any work, but as our clients, we want you guys to, want our clients to get whatever funding they can. Whatever applies, regardless of whether or not we get an engineering job out of it.
I just try to explain it as, we're working as an extension of your staff, so, Jason calls me up and says he's got this issue or this road that's failing, or you keep having water main breaks, right? You gotta have something there, or whatever, he calls me up and he goes, what do you think that we can do with this? Or, is there funding available? Or, one of the classic examples that I always hear is, we were working with the community and one of their projects was, a pie in the sky type of project where, we're never gonna be able to fund this, it's never gonna happen. And then we started talking about it and it ended up being eligible for a CDBG project. So then all of a sudden their $2.5 million project, they got $1 million grant, we bundled it with some other funding. And actually it moved from a 5 to 10 year project and we moved it up about 3 years and got it done way before they ever expected it. And so they kind of looked at us and they're like, we had it on our list as something that might be possible to do, but it's things like that. Or there's another one that we did. They wanted to redo the road, or it was kind of over by Wisconsin Rapids. They wanted to redo a road. And we but they wanted a trail with it. Then there was some other complications. So all of a sudden we ended up having like 4 or 5 different funding sources. We got a trail, we got a pedestrian bridge, we got stormwater management done, we got the utilities redone, we got the road redone. Again, it's not, not 100% covered, but I would say I think 80% of that project on an almost $5 million project was covered. That's not always going to be the case, but those are a couple good examples of how, we know your needs, we know what you want. We come to you guys and say, hey, let's look at this and what's your needs, what are your wants? And then we kind of go from there. So,
and we even, I kind of laugh about this one is that sometimes we go down to what, I shouldn't say down to, but to a level of just very small, queries where it's part of the customer service. And the example is the Village of Sherwood called me and asked me if I could help them update their zoning code to allow for the owner of the golf course to use goats for invasive species control. So, it took me maybe 15 minutes and I wrote an ordinance for them. And that's something that, I get charged for. That's just like, here you go. So different things like that we also just help out with.
I know in the past that we've talked, our ordinances are dated and should be updated. How much do you think it would cost to redo a whole?
Well, so we only do like those that have to do with land use. We don't do, the ones that are public safety and stuff like that, because that's not an area that we have people on staff for. But we do subdivision, our land use or land division code updates, and we do zoning code updates. In fact, we're right now doing a complete redo of the Village of Sherwood zoning code, and we are redoing the Village of Wrightstown's zoning code. And as far as cost, it really depends on what you're looking at and if it's a complete redo. In the case of Sherwood, I think that one we bid it at 30 to 35. I don't recall for sure. That was for the zoning code. And in Wrightstown, it was higher because they wanted something that was a lot more graphic, less text, and so they wanted something more specific. And then we also sometimes will discount it when we're doing it in conjunction with like a comprehensive plan update, because we can parallel the community engagement activities and do some cost savings there.
Any other questions? Thank you for your
Thank you
time.
for having us.
All right, item B, discussion action, recruitment of administrator position. I guess where we are, Rich and Lori and I met before the meeting. We had,
Five.
we weeded it down to 5 candidates for right now. So we have to decide on what the next step's going to be. I think we should have an outside firm do the phone interviews and look at the 5 people that we picked out and then bring us 2 or 3. Because obviously a professional person can figure, look through things and see and listen to people better than what I would do. Or I don't know anybody else in this room unless somebody wants to take on that task. There was several firms that Lori got quotes on. Most of it was for background checks, but I think a couple of them mentioned
Reference checks.
reference checks. Some of them referenced interviews. So I don't know what is your opinions?
The people that you're talking to, they'll do the reference checks, the background interviews, and do like a phone interview? Or that's.
We don't, when we talked about it earlier, is we'd have them do the phone interviews of the 5 people that we picked. They'd bring a report to us and say, this is, of the 5, I think two of them are worth looking further into. Then us as a council could interview them and make the decision. Kind of the same process when Cullen came, where they met with the staff and they met with us. But I just don't know how to make that first step of who should we interview or do phone interviews with these people before they come in. Unless you want to meet with all 5.
They should be screened. I think we talked about in the last meeting and we said that it didn't make sense financially because if we're paying someone to screen them all, when we get to the interview process, we only are selecting one person in the end.
I think you gotta pick the 1 or 2 that you want.
And then screen them.
Want to invest in them, all 5 are getting screened before you pick 1 or 2 of them. I would think.
I think some of we had in the past when we screened some of them and all of a sudden we narrowed it down. We narrowed it down to a couple and then they took other jobs where I think we were talking that maybe we'd have at least 5 in case something because there's some from out of the area that were really good. But looking at some of this here, it is expensive if you screen. If you did 5 of them, I think one of them quoted $5,000 a person.
Well, but that's the whole process. I just want someone my thought is have somebody just do a phone interview with these people and stop and bring us a report back. Yes.
MSA, do you do that?
I've done it when I was for the Town of Freedom in the Village of Sherwood. When I was serving as the interim administrator, I was assisting them in replacing me So I assisted them with the, screening, interviewing, background. I set in on the interviews and helped them with the questions, so.
And any idea what something like that would cost?
I don't have a number offhand. The only reason is because I was doing it while I was there as the interim administrator. It was part of my daily duties kind of thing, so it was part of that. So I would say it would be an hourly thing. I don't see that it would take real long. Sorry, I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I don't know what to
I
say
mean-
on how much.
You know, a phone interview probably wouldn't last more than 15, 20
Right,
minutes.
I don't see that as taking a long, well, you know, and so my hourly rate is 175 without being discounted for other services and stuff. So at 175, let's say there's 5 people for phone interviews, then, you know, I would say just on the high end, say a half an hour for each one. So that would be 2.5 hours for a phone interview. And actually, I already have questions for administrator positions, because I've already done it in some other instances.
They seem like a pretty good option when they got an office in Kiel. I think, and they've been helpful, very helpful in that city in several instances.
And I'm very active with it, with the Wisconsin City County Managers Association. So if they're existing managers, there's a pretty decent likelihood that I may know or know of them.
Chief,
Having an MPA myself, I still have to encourage the council to hire somebody. Because they know what they're looking for. Plus, we know the network of those that have already been in this type of work. So they're gonna be able to weed out somebody that may have a bad history somewhere. That maybe doing background checks may not still come out. A lot of times employers, if something happened, they may not share that information, but through networking, they might be able to get that information. It's no different than in my line of work. So I would strongly encourage to hire somebody to be part of it. That's to hire somebody in a professional capacity or whatever they have in here. That's just my opinion.
Right.
Piece of work, I think that hiring somebody is the smartest thing to do to protect the city.
But I've done in the past, like when I've done interim administration, for example, is it was never like a set this many hours or anything. It was just an as needed. And I had a contract with the municipality that was just for general municipal services, municipal administration. And then each time when I was given a task or, you know, something that they asked me to do, I just check in on like, what is the max hours you want me to spend on it? I'll make sure to keep it under that kind of thing. So we did it that way so that it wasn't a contract for a set amount, so that I was available for the community to ask any other questions or do anything else as needed. But I just, each time I checked in to say, hey, I was asked to do this, here's where we are right now with the budget part of it.
What is the timeline you're kind of looking to do?
next week. Well, let's keep her going, you know, let's not sit around here.
Visit my kid.
I'm just trying to think if.
Well, you can do it at the airport.
Trying to see if we.
Well, I guess
if we
I'd
can do a high-end number.
I'd feel comfortable if, you know, Diane's interested at, say we do a not to exceed some number.
That's what I'm trying to get at. If we do
You know.
not to exceed, it would, what would you give like a not to exceed number if we pick 5 people and you had to do that? I mean, high end right off the bat now.
I mean, if you're talking about just for phone interviews, that I said, what, 175 times 2.5, I think that would be more than plenty.
Plus more time, I guess.
Right,
Yeah.
so for the phone interview part,
$600.
Said, well.
Yeah.
Do we want, was it, would you say, other than, well, that's the kind of initiation, but if there's additional, we should have a buffer in case there's They
Then
do
that's
a little
kind of
more
what I
digging.
was alluding to, is to have a contract where we can just check in, not a set amount, but we can, you know, if you sign me, say, do not go over this amount for these phone interviews, I'll frankly make damn sure I don't. Because the one thing that I think, and I'm guessing your attorneys here will, or attorneys will agree on this, is when you do the interview, I think it would be very beneficial to have somebody like myself or some other person in on those interviews, because I have been in instances where there's been some questions and some back and forth that were getting a little risky. So it just kind of helps keep that in alignment.
So you're thinking initial, not if it goes over 6 or not to exceed, and then we should have another meeting in case it goes over that.
Yeah, what
600.
I do is when I come, if I start getting up to bumping up near it, then I typically check in with the clerk. Is who I usually do, or whoever my contact is. And then either they go to the mayor, you know, somebody, but whenever I start bumping up against that amount, then, or if I do, I check in with the client.
I'm willing to spend $600.
We just say 10 hours, not to exceed 10 hours right now, and then.
Yeah, that was, I mean,
17.50.
hourly, because
But
then.
then we get 10 hours because that gives a good cushion. That's cheap, that's fair.
Right.
It's,
So get through the phone interviews, come back with a report, and then when we do the interviews, we can figure out the next step and the price for that.
And as I mentioned, I am leaving, tomorrow for Colorado, but I'll be back on Tuesday, and I know my calendar offhand is that I would be able to work on it Wednesday, but I won't be able to until then.
been do a lot for 10 hours of who have contract to MSA, not to exceed, and if you get close to that, to call Lori.
Motion made by Rich, seconded by Becca. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carried. 1750.
So that's
We
going to
moved to
council,
So that's
Themselves.
yeah.
and that's at 175 an hour.
Yeah.
The 10 hours.
That was.
Yeah.
All
All right, discussion action, public work position and hiring process, Jason.
Just want to get your thoughts on, how we want to do the hiring process. Obviously, we got no administrator right now. And obviously I'm down, well, we'll be down 3 people with the 2 retirements. But obviously I got like 30 to 40 applications that then they do Friday. So obviously next week I want to get going because obviously we're down to 2 employees.
You wanna make that 20 hours?
So just thought, on your
I
thoughts,
do employee.
because you know, obviously it was, last time was Mark. Basically, he's retired now and we'll be filling his position. Hopefully the first will be filled. And then Colin and I sat in last time in the questions. But obviously I'm down, it's just me. So I can have Ben sit in, but he's only been here, what, 6 months, 7 months, short time. I was just curious on anybody else thoughts.
I have no problem with that.
I mean, if, yeah,
Sure, I mean, we can thoughts, you bet. I mean, just another
I
opinion.
mean, obviously, you're gonna go through all those resumes and narrow them down to the,
Whatever, you said, you're totally down.
Right.
Whatever. Because we have some
And
really
then-
qualified for both the operator position and the mechanic position.
right,
And obviously, right now, we need to get one in the door right now. I mean, even if we have to hold off another 3 months, at least whittle it down.
right. So I think you guys could work together and,
Okay. Be great. Thanks.
all right. I don't think there's any action on that one, just an agreement. New business, nothing. Meetings adjourned.
Good night. See your presentation. Yeah, that'll be at the council. When we go for appointments, if anyone asks. Yeah. It's okay, cool.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know.
All right, I'd like to call the July 16th, 2025 Common Council meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call's been taken.
Mhm.
Approval of the agenda. Brad.
Second.
Second, Kathy. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of the previous common council meeting of June 18th, 2025.
So moved.
Paula, Dan, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Any citizens input? None. Approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Gene,
I'll second.
Norm, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. New business, action on these items. The action taken on these items, unless indicated that they are discussion or first presentation items. Discussion action, MSA contract for 10 hours of service. Becca, what's that? Yeah. Kathy, any discussion? Want a roll call for that? Roll call.
Schrader. Thompson,
Aye.
Mosher, Oakley,
Aye.
Hess.
Aye.
Watson,
Aye.
Abrams.
Aye.
Wolfle.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Discussion, attorney, Weston Dunn. So, I asked them to come because I know that was, something different. Or, we had, Von Breezen, and I know that some of the services for them were about $350 an hour, and I thought, I did a little outreach and I talked to some surrounding communities, and they hired these guys, and they do the city of Two Rivers for a $7,000 a year total fee.
$7,000 a month.
Month,
Seven.
oh, a month,
Yes.
okay, and then how much is your hourly?
So I charge a rate of $225 an hour. Attorney Poplawski charges a rate of $250 an hour.
Okay. But they're local, and, I thought that, they're real familiar with the area. I thought, I know we wanna roll some things, there was some questions on the TID district and annexing stuff in the city and stuff like that, that I thought, these guys here seemed to be pretty good, and I asked them to come and give a little presentation.
Sure. So if you want, I have some just the documents, a standard proposal. That's a little bit of information about our firm.
The one gauge that we don't have a good handle on is how many hours are your needs, okay? So the one number sounds like a large number, however, if you have a lot of needs, it can be a good number, okay? But so we're flexible in that regard. And we're very interested in being available to serve communities this size. We have a number of communities that we represent. City of Two Rivers is probably the closest substantial city that you would be familiar with. We also represent the village of Lake Felton, and they're kind of an interesting area because they're a small population, but it's a big commerce center.
We have a number of other municipalities we represent, Manitowoc County, Kewaunee County as well. So we cover a lot of different municipalities of various sizes throughout the region, especially in this area of the state as well. So we have a lot of experience in this type of law. I think you'll find that our rates are commensurate for this type of work in the region. And
we have 4 offices throughout the state. I'm based in the Manitowoc office, and I'm on the municipal team, on a number of teams within our firm, but we have offices in Wanakee, Baraboo, Lodi, Manitowoc. So we do have a relatively local presence. For the number of times that over the years that I've traveled to your community, I feel local. But Sean's got the presentation. You want to take?
yeah, I have a presentation PowerPoint if you want us to show it.
Yeah, would he be able to hook in or he can't because
I
of,
think we're gonna lose this then.
Okay.
And
apologize.
no worries, we can just talk about the content of that then. That works.
Yeah, put it up for yourself, you can just walk it through.
Yeah, so like we said, we're Weston Dunn. So a little bit about me. I'm an associate attorney at the firm. I've been at Weston Dunn for a few years now doing municipal law. Before that, I was a city planner for a large municipality in Iowa, the city of West Des Moines. There I did a lot of long-term planning work, a lot of comprehensive planning and that sort of thing. Since then, I'm now working at Weston Dunn. As Dave mentioned, I serve as the attorney of record for the city of Two Rivers, serve as prosecuting attorney for a number of other municipalities, assistant attorney for a number of municipalities, assistant county attorney as well for some of the clients we represent. Dave, want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Dave Pulaski. I've been an attorney in Manitowoc County for over 30 years. I've been with Weston Dunn for about 6 years. My focus is on primarily municipal law, litigation on the civil side, as well as business consulting. I have experience as a prosecutor. I was a city of Manitowoc prosecutor for well over a decade. And I've also acted as a contracted prosecutor for a number of municipalities throughout Manitowoc and Sheboygan counties. The biggest thing that I guess I'd like you to know is that working with us, you're working with a team. And then we're fortunate to be in the era that we're in from a technology standpoint, because when we have an issue that comes to us from a municipality, we're able to draw opinions from 4 or 5 different viewpoints in our firm that have experience with the issue. I think we can serve you on all issues that are going to present themselves to the city, with the exception of bonding. We don't do bond presentations or proposals.
You'll find that's pretty common. Most of the bond law is a pretty specialized area of law that most municipal general counsel firms do not give that service. So that's the one thing we can't do, but anything else, we're well equipped to handle.
Handling, working with your police department in terms of your municipal courts, your municipal, citations, and going through the court process there, being present here for you when you need us, if you want us here in person, if you want us to be here by virtual or to be on call. We would, view ourselves as working hand in hand. I understand you have an absentee with your administrator right now, but we would view ourselves working hand in hand with your support staff, your mayor, your administrator, and them working with your department heads and reporting back to the council.
Like Dave said, so we offer a variety of service, really capturing most of municipal law. We'll do everything from ordinance drafting, board advisory. We love showing up to meetings and guiding you through those processes. We do a lot of development work, like Dave mentioned. We do a lot of work to support the village of Lake Delton, for example. So we have substantial experience doing development agreements, TID creation, TID maintenance, planning and zoning compliance, blight removal. We've done a ton of experience with raise orders, blight removal, and urban renewal and that sort of thing. So we're well experienced in that area. In addition to that, we have, like Dave said, a substantial experience doing municipal litigation, municipal prosecution, not only in the municipal court, but also prosecuting larger scale ordinance issues in circuit court. We're well experienced doing that. We've taken several cases up to the Court of Appeals as well. And we got a favorable verdict today, decision from the Court of Appeals today in one of our cases. So we have a lot of experience on that litigation front as well. One of the benefits of our proposal here is that we're offering everyone at Weston Dunn at a rate of $250 for partners and $225 for associates. So we're going to serve you at those rates, regardless of how much the attorney bills for some of their larger corporate clients. Some of our litigators are billing at rates that well exceed that for their normal rates, but for municipal rates, we're capping them at $250 for partners and $225 for associates, and we think that's a fair rate. It's definitely commensurate with the area. The benefit here is it gives the city of New Holstein the ability to access all of our staff that has relevant experience on their matters. Like Dave said, we have 4 offices. We have attorneys who do municipal law across those offices. With this proposal, we're able to tap into our attorneys who have experience representing Marquette County and the village of Lake Delton, and me and the city of Two Rivers, who have hopefully, if an issue develops here, it's something that we've seen before and that we can assist you with.
They don't have any questions that we could answer for you?
Are we to assume that no matter if it's a 15 minutes, little gig, it's automatically billed as an hour?
No, no, we bill in, one thing I'll clarify, it's an unfortunate misconception. We do bill for phone calls, okay? That's probably the most common question I get from people. The other thing I'll tell you though, I've been doing this for 30+ years and I can tell you probably on both hands, the number of times I have people complain about billing. And we work very hard to be fair. We bill in 1/10 of hour increments. Okay, so, no, if somebody calls us and we talk to them for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and we have to note that, keep track of that, document it. Might take 15 minutes, that's what you're getting billed for. You're not getting billed for an hour. And you call back the next time, you know, it's the same thing. The other thing that Sean didn't touch on, if you end up in a situation where you have litigation against the city, we also view ourselves as being a support for you because you have insurance of certain types of claims, correct? But they're gonna hire counsel. I don't know anybody in here will disagree. Your insurance company is your best friend when you're paying them premiums. They're not always your best friend when it's time to get involved in a claim. That's where we do a lot of this type of work where we act as kind of the buffer between insurance companies and their counsel and our client. We have some larger corporations that we do that for. Two Rivers, when we have things that get outsourced that are handled by insurance, we step in to kind of be in the middle to make sure that the interests of the city are protected.
Like paralegal work and stuff like that, or drafting papers and stuff. How was that billed at?
Well, the concept of drafting papers is gonna depend on what it is that's being drafted. Many times it's gonna be done by attorneys, okay? But if it's at an associate level, it's gonna be no more than $2.25 an hour. Partner levels, no more than $2.50 an hour. Paralegal work that we have to have done will be at $1.25. $1.25 an hour. So, and it kind of depends on the specific project. You know, like for example, in your I'll just use your police chief as an example. If they have paperwork that they have to get to us and has to be reviewed, summarized, pulled together, what have you. Some of those things can be done by paralegals who can then give it to me if I'm gonna be acting as your prosecutor for those things.
And like we said, we work as a team here. Our goal is always, when possible, to have, you know, have paralegals, associates like myself doing that work, so that they can supervise us doing that work and we can give you a high quality representation at a lower cost.
What is the 7,500 you talked about in the beginning per month?
Well, certain municipalities have chosen to contract with us on an annual basis at a per month rate.
So when I talked with Mayor Snelson, he mentioned our rate at the Two Rivers, so I included that as an example. That's not to say we're gonna charge you $7,000 a month. I don't think it's gonna cost that much to represent the city of New Holstein. But it's hard for us to gauge at this point because we don't know how much legal services you're using. We can certainly have that discussion. A lot of our municipalities have found after a few months that, all right, we want to move to a flat rate basis. Some of our other municipalities, big and small, decided they'd prefer to pay that hourly rate. So that's.
And it's a balancing act. Like we'll have a contract with the municipality and there's an expectation kind of what the top end might be, but they know that they've kind of locked in their costs at a certain level. That would be different for each and every municipality. And we would have to be able to have some track record to gauge how much time, what are your typical needs that you need to be done. But, you know, probably a better fit to begin would be to work from an hourly basis and see how things go. But you may make a decision at some point to say, well, what can we do to lock this in at a certain level? So that we know we've got you available as we need things from us.
For example, we've been on a contract basis for a flat rate with the city of Two Rivers for 7 years now, and it's one relationship we found works really well. We have an idea of how much legal services they're going to need. If it's high 1 month, they don't have to worry about paying extra. If it's low 1 month, then that money we, you know, say evens out at the end of that. So that's kind of the idea there.
7,000 a month is 28 hours for the partner rate and 31 hours for the associate. 28 to 31 hours a month. And I don't know what we usually use.
I'm not prepared to look, I mean, I would have to look and see how much we
Depends on
do.
How you're structured. The ones where we have those contracts, we have, how would I put it? Standard meetings, Two Rivers has standard meetings, has standard agendas, has department head routing things through us. It depends on how your municipality handles those things.
How you wish to use your attorneys as well. We have.
You may want us to do those things, you may not want us to do those things. But it's a individual decision.
We're comfortable with either arrangements. We have municipalities where we spend as much as 15 hours a month with them in meetings. We have municipalities that we don't go to meetings. They come to us with an issue. They don't feel that it's cost effective to have us there. So
Well, and another example would be, we have a municipality that won't name, but we have an attorney there all day, one full day a week at a minimum. Okay. Again, it depends on what the needs of the community are.
And the only reason I kind of asked for that, because they talked about a set rate, was because one year I think we spent about $83,000 between, it was a court and municipal, that there was a lot of stuff going on. So I thought, well, just to throw it out there, but the hourly rate is pretty.
Oh. Yeah, and again, and there may have been some confusion on that. That's kind of where we're at with other municipalities. If your need is less, and we see a pattern of that, we can certainly look at discussing and negotiating and a subscription rate, we call it, at a lower level. But we hope that when those are structured, we hope that they're kind of mutually beneficial.
How do you charge for meetings?
Like Dave said, we bill in 1/10 of an hour increments. So if we were to attend a meeting, we would bill, if it's an hour-long meeting, we bill for 1 hour. If it's an hour and 6 minutes, we bill for 1.1 hours.
Travel. We do charge for travel, we do charge for preparation and if we follow for, to be transparent. But, again, these are all things that we can, if you've got issues that you want to hammer out with us in those regards, why don't you tell us you want to go with us with the asterisk being figuring out how we deal with the fee end of it. Let's have those discussions with the proper people.
I have a variety of relationships with different municipalities. If we're appearing via Zoom, if we're in person every time, we can accommodate all those sorts of arrangements. It's up to you all, how much legal services you think you'll need, and what your preferences are. If we're going to be there more often and doing more work, the cost is going to be, more hours, that's going to cost more, but we're certainly.
The leadership in the municipality kind of dictates that, okay? One of the problems where we're pretty intensely involved on a weekly basis is Two Rivers, and that's just how their government had evolved for many years. They have a city manager system, and they relied upon us to be heavily involved in many, many areas. Other municipalities treat it more, they want us to be involved as they need us. Others want us to be available for your typical meetings to address things. But if for example, if you have an agenda in advance and you well, we don't have anything that we need the attorney for, well, then maybe we don't need to be at that meeting. If you have things on your agenda, well, we better have an opinion. Well, if we have that kind of information in advance, we can provide you with that opinion in advance or simultaneously at the meeting.
Are there any other questions?
What kind of travel times are we looking at for?
Well, things that would need to be attended in person would probably be handled by the closest person.
Yeah, Dave's the closest, so if, certainly municipal
You know,
court is gonna be something that's gonna be required in person.
So is it about an hour drive or less?
No, it's less than that, and I apologize. With the municipal court, do your municipal court matters go through the Calumet County Circuit Court, or you have your own municipal court? It's once a month, right?
Yeah, no, every week. And we do have our own municipal.
And trials are once a month, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So no, when do you hold your municipal court typically?
When?
Yeah.
It's in the evening,
What day of the week?
2 days.
Okay.
Right?
And your custom had been to have your city attorney at for all initial appearances or just pre-trials?
We do pre-trials here.
Well, pre-trials are weekly and, yeah, I mean, to answer your question about the travel, it's probably 45 minutes maximum, probably less.
So like we said, with technology, we found ways to cost save for municipalities as well. For traffic pre-trials, for example, we do those for a lot of our municipalities with a paralegal telephonically. So
Yeah,
no one's,
I would make that suggestion, and I'm not trying to change how you guys do things. I'd say that the cost savings would be to have your pre-trials done, by telephone.
we have a paralegal that handles that.
My preference.
So then rather than Dave
The
spend,
choice.
Dave billing you at $250 an hour to drive out here, we have a lot of our clients who have paralegal who handles that at $125 an hour. She doesn't need to travel because
It's all kind of dependent, we can chat too, in terms of how much volume we have each week. You kind of have an average in mind of what you see every week.
Pre-trials are just once a month,
Pre-trials?
aren't they?
Yeah.
Aren't they once a month, pre-trials?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought someone said we, well, first of all, if they're once a month, that's not as big of a cost issue, okay? And it is, and in my view, it can be effective to have that face-to-face contact, trying to get something resolved. But if you're talking in that range of, 3, 4, 5,
Nobody shows up, that's the problem.
that's okay, then they're defaulted. Right? Yeah, I
You
get
need
it.
the attorney to be here.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can figure out the logistics of that. We can come up with systems that create efficiencies for you guys.
I may have missed where you're coming from. The 45 minutes is round trip or one way, so an hour and a half.
Right.
Mm,
And it would, to me, it would be the most efficient thing you could do, big picture going forward, would be to have those pre-trials not done in person. Most of our municipalities are not having us do them in person.
We don't have any that do it in person anymore. We do
Even
telephonic
the
with.
bigger cities are doing virtual
Yes.
free
Yeah.
trial.
Yep, we do pre-trials virtually, even for our biggest clients, with a paralegal. Like I said, it's a lot cheaper for the municipality to have Marietta at our office do it for $125 an hour, not driving, then Dave travel. And
The way that would work would be the file, we'd have the file, we'd review the file, we'd have a position defined on it. Paralegal would be given direction on how to handle it. It'd either be a paralegal or an associate. They would then be communicating with the defendant. The defendant would be given the proposal. Their side of the version of events is taken into account. It may cause us to change our view if there's something new that's brought to the table. And then from there, it's either gonna get resolved or it's gonna get set for trial. But as you said, you have a high percentage of no-shows. And that unfortunately is not unusual.
Would
Yeah.
virtually be more helpful for you? Well,
Yeah, I mean, any means other than in person. A lot of times the defendants will get a letter that will say, you've chosen to contest this, your pretrial conference is set for this day and time. Please call this telephone number at that time. And then they're connected to the person that's gonna handle the pretrial. And then once the pretrial is done, we report back to your chief as to the status. My only quick war story is I had a lot of arm wrestling matches pre-virtual days with Manitowoc Police Chief because we had two philosophies that they wanted. One, strict enforcement. But boy, when we had strict enforcement, we had a judge who was long-winded. And then certain times of the year, the chief wasn't real happy when it came time for budgets and overtime, right? So we gotta balance all those things. And we will do whatever, within reason, whatever you guys as a community direct us to do. We'll take our lead from your chief. We'll take our lead from your council, from your mayor. However you want us to handle it, we're gonna do our best to accomplish what you put forth to us in a way that you can stomach it financially and make sense.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
It's nice to see everyone.
Okay. All right. Action recruitment for administrator position. I think we kind of covered that with MSA.
We gotta approve the number.
Okay,
Because remember, it was in committee, the whole unspent council.
We did on,
we did that with the MSA. 10 hours, so I apologize. All right, moving forward. First reading ordinance 687, an ordinance of the municipal code of the city of New Holstein, amending chapter 4, sections 4.011 4.011B3, 4.022, 4.052. So I guess, you don't need to read that out loud because it's made public, correct? That's the first presentation. All right. Next action, mayor's appointments.
Second that.
So I don't think that we have any need to change attorneys. Had a problem with Sorensen or some reasons. Then for CDA, I'm not comfortable with two new or council members. I think that Gene should stay on and then one new council member could go with him to replace Bob, but that's a very important committee and I just think having experience is important. It's not casting any doubt on the two people, but I'd be more comfortable if the most experienced person here was on it, especially the president. CDA is a big deal and there's a lot of ins and outs to it, so I'm not comfortable with that either.
And I exchanged some emails over the past couple of days with Steve Sorensen, and he expressed his interest to continue as our city attorney. I feel he's doing a very good job. I don't have a problem with him, and I think we should keep him.
I think the bigger discussion is just the appropriateness of ones to utilize their services. If you want to try to save money on the attorney instead of going with a whole new firm and new people that have to learn the way that we do things, I think every individual person that utilizes the attorney just has to be careful with the time that they allow to them, because it is a cost. And in years past, we obviously did a lot more of that with the police stuff.
Right, and I think that you talked about the expenses of year of negotiating for a year for the police contract. Otherwise, what is our normal?
So in 23, it was 25,600. In 24, it was 30,900. This year, we're at 16,600 so far.
And there's certain things he excels in and there's others, well, it took over a year to annex a little part of the TID district in the city, and Cullen was working with him. And I mean, that whole process took over a 5-year process, which we used Von Briesen for most of it, and some of it, how TIDs worked. Ellers is the one that really writes up the TIDs. And it seemed like it contradicted, Steve contradicted some of the things that Ellers had. The other thing was comparable taxes. The assessor sets that. That was kind of a big deal. One meeting went into quite a detail, and it comes down to the assessor sets the taxes, and there were some numbers that were off. And Sorensen, even some of the ordinances on appointing and stuff like that he didn't read. I'm not saying he's a bad person. Even in the beginning, there was even a bicycle ordinance, e-bikes. He didn't read it, and it took a while. It took a couple of years, and finally got stuff changed. But I think he's $350 an hour, and we pay for that. And some of the things these guys here seem to be more familiar with. I think it's important. We need to grow the TID. The TID's been there it's been 5 years, and we haven't had a new business come in, and some of that,
I don't think it's really accurate or fair to cast doubt on his advice when he's not here to explain anything or defend himself, because I don't think there's cause to say that he was wrong on those things that he listed.
Cullen worked with him for over a year to annex a piece in the city.
given us when he comes to meetings and the things that he
How-
does know about.
How far away is he traveling from?
Ripping.
He doesn't charge
charge
for
for travel.
travel.
He only charges for the meeting. From when we start the meeting to when we end the meeting. He doesn't charge travel either to or from.
And those prices I gave you, that includes, that's for court stuff and the city attorney. So that's not all him, it's for court also. It's a combination of,
I guess I
True.
just don't see a reason to change.
Yeah, their quote, even at the lower number, they're quoting, $84,000 a year. That's gonna double our budget.
Well, that's if you go with a monthly flat fee. That I just threw that in there. We're not talking a flat monthly.
No, I
fee.
don't think they expect that.
No,
They were saying you want to go hourly because your city's requirements may be insignificant, so there's not gonna be 84,000, but
I just don't see a reason to change.
We cut down costs for the trials too, pre-trials.
but that's a separate attorney.
that's separate, I
That's a
don't,
total different.
I don't know what they charge.
doesn't-
I didn't know I needed to
That
be
municipal.
prepared for that part, so I'm
Right,
not
but
sure.
If a city like Green Bay is doing theirs virtually, why does New Wolfstein have to have someone here?
And that maybe could be something that could be talked about, like down the road with.
That's what I wanted to also. Very, very unhappy with it. We've been for several, as long as I've been here, it's costing us double and triple the amount of time. I don't know, and I asked Colin, I know Colin asked Sorensen, we do not know who actually makes a decision on the municipal attorney, if it's the council, if it's the mayor. Nobody could answer that question. This might be a great opportunity to replace that attorney, maybe with this attorney. We are definitely not happy with what we have. I know Keel is not happy. I'm sure you've had conversations with Mr. Funkhauser about that. I know no municipality in this county is happy with Mr. Yan. And I've had conversations with him for changes. Those changes have not happened. I don't know what he charges hourly. But I can tell you that we sometimes have 4, 5, 6 pre-trials that we are being charged for. We've been directed not to do that, but he's still doing that. So that is something I've been bringing up for the last year with Cullen, and we've not been able to resolve who actually makes that decision. So I had the perfect opportunity here with mayor appointments, because I don't know if that's mayor appointment as well. But I am all about bringing in a new municipal attorney if that's possible. No contract could be found from what Cullen.
That'd be on the future agenda.
To my understanding here, was it Burnett did it all, and then all of a sudden there was a branch off of, well, then it was Burnett and
King did it. for a
King did
while.
it for a while, and then, but it's all out of that firm. Things changed, the process changed, the billing changed. It's not the same service, but the bottom line is, we used to have them for everything. And then all of a sudden, they brought Von Briesen in. This was during, when,
When Jim retired.
no, this was when Hebel brought him in, because he says, well, we want to look at doing something different, but we'll leave, them as the, municipal, or the, for the police department.
They looked into it after Jim retired, then we had King for a while, and things weren't going the greatest, and that's when it switched to Von Briesen.
I'm not trying to sidetrack
Yeah,
anybody, but
I mean,
since we're talking about attorneys, someone came up here, they seem possibly cheaper, they're in tune with not being here for pre-trials, which I am a big advocate for not being here for them, which our attorney says they have to be here. I don't control the attorney, obviously, and how that all works. That's where I look for your guys' guidance and
Well, that-
support.
so why
Should
would,
be an appointment.
why don't we have
I don't-
the municipal attorney and the court appointed attorney?
Right,
Separate-
I know, it's two separate things, right?
So, yeah.
And I don't know if
We
the
wanna
mayor,
Bring this team in for
Municipal
the chief's municipal court, so we can try and see how they
I
are.
don't know who makes that decision. That's why I
Well,
want.
that should be somewhere, because we are never, so we're never gonna change that, like, that's.
It was a gray area.
But we should definitely fix that, and have that be something that we are looking at on a regular basis, and
I
I.
think there's gotta be somebody at the state level that tells, like that would know, like who chooses that.
Unless we gotta talk with the judge. I don't know if the judge,
I think we probably
It sounds like it's.
use your clerk.
I will contact the Clerks Association and, see what,
And I don't know if that's the mayor's decision, because if attorney originally was encompassing all of it, that would have been a mayor's appointment. If it off, I would think, I'm guessing, but I would think it would still fall under the mayor's appointment.
It seems like it just never got put on here as a line item, that.
it's not in
I
the,
don't,
it's not in our ordinances,
I'll contact
because it's attorney.
the state, the clerks is,
Google AI, in most cases, the municipal judge is appointed by the mayor
I think.
or
that's-
other, with the consent of a governing body.
That's a judge.
That's
Talking about the attorney general.
the attorney, and that he's elected. The judge, but the attorney is,
I'm guessing honestly that it's a
Attorney.
clerical thing, that when it was all under the same thing and then it branched off and had two different ones, it just didn't get added to the appointments as a separate line item.
I can check with-
Fall under the mayor.
how about I check with the state clerks and see what they say and report back next month?
If- that could provide somewhat of a compromise too, if we took this firm to change out our municipal. That would allow people to get familiar with them enough, maybe to feel more comfortable next year if you wanted them to do everything. You know, I don't have a problem with Steve Sorensen. I think he's doing a fine job. I also don't have a problem with a new firm if it's, you know, if there's some cost savings there. I don't have an issue with, I could go either direction on this. I don't have a problem with it. I think they're gonna do a fine job. They're gonna help us write ordinances. So I'm fine with this. At some point, we gotta consider when we're gonna let the mayor make an appointment or not. I mean, that's part of the role, you know? Yeah, I know. Our job is not to micromanage the appointments, is to make sure there's not someone who's disqualified or, you know, I mean, we are to review them. And so we just gotta decide if it's an agreement, you know, there's no way this is gonna work versus, yeah, we got two qualified people and for whatever, it might not even be a good reason, bad reason, doesn't matter. That's part of the role of the mayor, so. I think we just gotta be cautious before we're just trying to do our own appointments, you know. Go ahead.
Oh, it's not even a cost savings, though.
No, it might not be.
By the time you have travel time at $2.25 an hour.
Our job is.
He's 45 minutes, you're at $3.75 right off the bat.
I'm just,
Not
you
even
might even
spending
travel, you might charge you different for travel, but it's really not a savings.
Yeah, I'm okay either way. I'm not sure it's a savings either. I was,
It's not,
Probably travel time and mileage.
it's not, in my opinion, it's not a cost saving.
I wouldn't mind approving anything that makes sense. I don't see a reason to do it. I have no problem with the 98% of these appointments, which is what I put as my motion. The two that I had the questions about, I think are valid questions. I don't think that's micromanaging. I think that's actually our job. And so that's why I put forth that everything's approved except those two. And I would like to see Jean still on the CDA, and I think we could keep Sorensen. I do agree that we should definitely talk about the municipal court attorney, and we should amend that as soon as we can figure out how the process works and get it on the agenda so we can vote for that. I'm fine with that.
I mean, this is the law firm, they're gonna do a good job. I mean, Sorensen, I'm not saying he's bad either, but if that's what the mayor wants, I respect the mayor's position. I
But
mean,
why?
just because I don't like his choice, it doesn't say you can't appoint anybody unless I like it.
I'd like to know the valid reasons to change. If we had.
Well, you just stated some, and that's,
But though that's not even been proven though, that that's accurate. And the person that he's talking about isn't here to say whether it is or not. So that you could say the same thing. If he disagreed with something that Sorensen advised on and Sorensen was correct, you could have him trying to have Sorensen be taken out of the equation just because he didn't agree with something that Sorensen said that was correct. There's no way to know.
But that's not what we're
both ways.
talking about.
It's both directions.
He's saying, this is who I would like to see in these positions.
But that is what we're
He
talking about.
has reasons. I mean,
But ultimately, we're the. decision-
obviously, these people that were just here, hey, they might come in handy for this and we might actually be able to utilize them. And now further down the line, we might realize, hey, we might get a better bang for our buck if we do have them incorporate more into the city. And I'm all about saving money, but my husband's self-employed, and some of you here also know you gotta spend money to make money. And the only way this city is not gonna end up borrowing its way into a deeper hole is if things start changing. And that means people are gonna have to start saying no. Or yes, because I can tell you right now, both my children live in different cities because they don't want to live here because they know friends that tried starting businesses. And outside of the city of New Holstein, people say, oh, you can't start a business in New Holstein because that doesn't happen. It's the city of New.
Say to vote on what we're talking about.
Well, you got, now this is the third or fourth time this has been on the agenda and you keep saying, nope, I don't agree. Or
That's not true, and we all have a right to ask why the mayor is doing something or not, and I don't think that he's given it a valid reason to switch away from the law firm that we've been using successfully for several years. That's who the relationship is with. I think that he's done a fine job. If he's ever done and said anything inaccurate, then that should be dealt with when it happens. So if he said something that wasn't legally correct, then that should have been addressed when it happened. I have no idea to know if that's true or not. So I'm saying that all of the rest of these appointments are fine. Those are the two that I don't agree with. You don't have to vote for that. You vote for whatever you want, but we're supposed to ask questions. That is our job.
Okay, Norm.
You know, I'm kind of looking at this the same way as Becca, but at the same time, if we're gonna go with like Weston Dunn for doing the court stuff, Sorensen's term is up in next April. So if Weston Dunn at that time is doing an adequate job and we know how they're handling everything, we can make that decision at that time.
Absolutely. That's a great idea. Then we cannot talk.
I mean, you're utilizing two different areas, you know.
Yeah, you have a frame of
People,
reference.
yeah.
Lori, whoever works with them can say, yeah, they were great. They were really quick to respond. I mean, there can be good feedback. That's great.
Well, the one thing I'm gonna say is, look at the TID district in the last 5 years. Some of that was under direction. It took 5 years to annex some of it in the city under the direction of the attorney. I'm not saying he's bad on there's a lot of things he's good at. He was president of the Bar Association. But we're not moving forward. It made the front page of the paper going to Chilton, this other business. That's fine. But the thing is it's not, there's a lot of things he did good at, but sometimes change is important. The city's been stagnant.
That doesn't any point.
I don't think it's right to like put blame on the attorney for having a stake in the district.
That should have been pushed by us internally.
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, this is all part of the
Push back,
appointment.
it's
You
push back.
asked the question.
You're basically making us all look bad by putting blame on the attorney for having an unsuccessful district.
It took 5 years to annex a small section in the city, and we were working on it. And so the thing is that we can continue to keep going in the same direction and expecting different results, or we can try something different.
I think we are gonna try something different. We're gonna try Weston Dunn for the municipal court and we'll keep,
But are we for sure, or do we need to
well,
check
we
on
gotta
that?
find that out.
Right, that's why I'm like, don't we need to kind of wait on it?
Right now, I agree with Becca. Obviously, I seconded it. So I'm gonna call for the vote.
Schrader,
No, we're voting on.
Well, the motion was.
Those the appointments, except for the CDA appointees, which I think one of the two new people, right, but, and then the attorney.
Everybody else is fine.
So
Hobson,
what happens to
So it stays what it is until
He brings
He
back
brings
something
something
else,
back.
and then we vote on those
so
two.
Sorensen stays forever. If he never brings anything back. And I stay in the committee unless he brings it back and we prove it. It stays status quo until. we
As it has
agree with
been
the
April,
appointment.
and we're in the middle of July, it's all stayed status quo because we haven't approved them yet, so we're approving all but two right now.
Change. If we keep doing the same thing over and expect a different result. That was Einstein had a very famous quote. That's up to you guys.
Okay, vote no, that one.
Then we bring it back. Or you-
Hobson,
Aye.
Mosher,
Aye.
Oakley,
Nay,
Hess.
Aye.
Watson,
No,
Abrams,
No,
Wolfle.
Aye.
So 5-3.
All right.
but no, it'll still come back on these last two.
Just the last. Yeah. Everything else is.
Well, he has 5 openings yet, or 6, whatever, all of them in red.
Yeah, I still got some more to do yet. It's hard to find some people that want to be on some of this. All right, moving forward. Action, public works position and hiring process. So, all right, no action. No miscellaneous business. Meeting adjourned.